then we got Dave Hall and we got Mom sitting there, and you and I are going to have to, off paper, figure out how we do that.
Well, I'm not sure what you got that your mom has. What is it? What kind of loan did you take for your mom?
Mom had a balance that AM Prince had.
The only thing I knew you get money from, I thought, was when you were doing the embroidery machine. You were paying off the embroidery machine with her.
That's paid for.
I know. That was the only thing I knew.
When I sat down with you that day at the table and I said, we are in trouble. We need help. We need to figure out something, and we need to figure out fast what to do. Because we're going down. So I had to go and I borrowed a bunch of money from Mom. But we still owe her $37,000. So it was just sitting there, we've been making payments. I added on top of that $33,000 we bought for the embroidery machine for him.
Wait a minute, you said above the embroidery.
We borrowed the money for the embroidery machine from Mom, and then we added on, I believe it was $27,000.
So this is like including the embroidery machine?
Right.
Okay. So the $33,000 is still...
It's down to $36,000 now.
I really want to kind of go through all the credit cards too, trying to figure out some of that stuff. Like even Chase, I don't understand what is on Chase credit card. Kind of go through all that stuff and find out what all, you know, you got some money that's still on Chase. So I was curious, like when you took all that credit card, or you borrowed that money from your mom, you paid off some of the credit cards or all the credit cards?
Well,
and then how to Chase, okay.
It's going to be tough. We'll have to pull all the years of taxes we've got filed away and pull out all those credit card stubs for everything and try and regrid it and retrace it and all that. And I know that Chase was part of a Target Visa card that was in my name, but everything that's ever been charged on any of the cards was all stuff for school for the kids. It was all family stuff. It was, I mean, you know that. We've never been able to go on trips or charge anything extravagant.
$52,000. What
What did they do with it?
What did Aunt Prince need to borrow $20,000 for? Where that money?
That's in the 53.
I know. But because
It was on the Bank of America credit card. It was AM Prince. It was
going that far into
Yeah. So when I was trying to run AM Prince, I would buy t-shirts and hats and jackets to print on the credit card. And then when the bill came in, you just make the minimum payment. And then you keep buying stuff on it, you make the minimum payment because you can't pay it off.
Divorce and debt, what you owe and what you don't. Community property states are Arizona, California, Idaho, Louisiana, Nevada, New Mexico, Texas, Washington and Wisconsin. If the wife runs up a credit card in her name alone during the marriage, a portion or all of the debt could be assigned to the husband during the divorce. If you're living in another state like Missouri, then how you split your debt is likely done through what's called equitable distribution, in which attorneys and a judge determine who owes what. In other words, if your spouse racked up a lot of credit card debt in secret, you're more likely to come out of your marriage not owing any of that money.
There's no reason AM Prince should be drowning in debt when our personal life's not drowning in debt. I mean, that ought to all be paid by both of us too. I don't think AM Prince and I should have to burden that.
Well, what was it that the money went towards? What was the $20,000 for?
Well, remember I told you before, as far as I can remember, it was shirts and goods, but it was also if we didn't have the money to pay, and we couldn't even make the minimum payments. So, like we do now, I make money in AM Prince and I pull revenue, but back then, we couldn't do it. We didn't have it. So, I didn't have any money there, so I was charging the shirts and all that to keep the business floating. And it all just kept piling up, and we couldn't make the payments on it. We just kept making minimum payments, and as I was ordering more and more stuff for the business, that just got I mean, that's just the way it went. It was all our debt.
So AM Prince had a credit card.
No, it wasn't. There's never been a credit card with AM Prince's
You
name.
said card, so I was trying to figure out what you meant by that. You said an AM Prince card.
Well, I just
Yeah.
put all the, instead of spreading stuff out for AM Prince on a bunch of different stuff, it's easier to track if you just keep it on one. So everything for AM Prince went on that Bank of America card. And it got hot. I mean, we didn't have anything to pay it off with till we got this money from Mom. And I don't think it's fair to split it back off. Unless you want to buy AM Prince and you want to take that debt.
Debt division may be handled in a number of different ways. A few examples include by who benefits from the debt. Sometimes, debts are divided up based on who benefits from the source of them. For instance, the spouse who stays in the marital home will most likely assume the mortgage because he or she is directly benefiting from that debt. Similarly, the spouse who is the primary owner of the business that still has a loan will most likely be assigned responsibility for that loan. By who brought which debt into the marriage.
You know, we got behind paying Marilyn, her salary by $4,000 at one point, years ago down here. She needed it to go do something on her house or something. I think it was when she was raising her house. She was going to go borrow money. I said, Marilyn, don't borrow money. We owe you $4,000. Let me put it on my credit card and give you the money. Don't go put it on your credit card, because that's what she was going to do. She was going to take it out on her credit card. But we owed her. So I took it out on our credit card and I paid her. So that was $4,000 more we had on the credit card because we owed Marilyn.
Well, you said too, you know.
I pay all my
The
bills out
balance
of
of
this
this
place.
also talks about the income, and there's got to be some discretionary money that you had because you were able to pay for Marilyn all those years under the whatever you did with her, except for when you had to take $4,000 out and pay it on a credit card. When you took $4,000 on a credit card to pay Marilyn's,
Back pay that we owed her. We owed her back pay because the girl was so sweet that she knew we didn't have any money most of the time, and she'd wait a month at a time to get paid.
which
And
means
we would
that
pay
AM
her in
Prince was the
cash.
cause. It wasn't making enough money.
So why are you cranking over it?
Because it wasn't all us, it was AM Prince that was probably the whole problem to start with. It wasn't making enough money when we added on to the house and
Thank
everything else.
God we had this company, because we'd have never made it had we not at least had some income coming in. Whole relationship, I mean, can you pinpoint something where I lied to you?
But I still say, you said many times that all that money
No,
was
I
AM
never
Prince.
said all that money that we borrowed from Mom was for AM Prince. Never, ever did I say that. Never. And I never said it was all AM Prince. Never, ever did I. We borrowed money from Mom to pay off credit card debt.
That's not what you said.
Well,
You
that's
said
what
it was
was on
AM
that.
Prince.
See, you're making all kinds of stuff up. I added on top of that $33,000 we bought for the embroidery machine for him.
Wait a minute, no, you said above the
We
embroidery.
borrowed the money for the embroidery machine
Right.
from Mom,
Right.
and then we added on, I believe it was $27,000.
So this is like including the embroidery machine.
Right.
Okay. So the 33,000 is still.
It's down to $36,000 now.
Unfortunately, some spouses attempt to hide assets before or during a divorce in order to avoid sharing them with their soon-to-be ex. However, divorcing spouses in all states can use powerful legal tools, called discovery, to help them find hidden income and other assets. The first step in dividing assets during a divorce is to create a complete financial picture of all of the assets owned by each spouse. Generally, these assets will be categorized as marital, property acquired during the marriage, separate, property acquired before the marriage, after separation, or by gift or inheritance, or commingled, where you've mixed marital and separate property together, for example, in a bank account or retirement fund. These are general rules. The laws of your particular state will dictate exactly how property is characterized. Even though you may not have ownership rights in your spouse's separate property, It's important to account for all of it because, depending on your state's laws, a court may consider the value of both spouses' separate property when deciding how to divide marital property and debts. Finding assets when you're the outspouse.
If your spouse handled the bookkeeping during your marriage, and you played little to no part in tracking finances, you are what some attorneys refer to as the outspouse. This simply means that you don't have immediate access to or knowledge of financial information, but your spouse does. Unfortunately, many spouses refuse to produce information because they're hiding assets. Finding hidden assets in divorce can be challenging, especially for non-attorneys. This article explains what a basic search should entail, but we're not suggesting that you should conduct every search yourself. If you believe your spouse is hiding assets, you may want to contact an attorney with experience in asset search and investigation. Even if you don't suspect your spouse is hiding assets, it's wise to consult with an attorney to ensure you're asking the right questions.
Andy, why don't you talk to me instead of doing shit like this?
What?
What? You went to your attorney, having all kinds of dumb requests. Why don't you just talk to me? Why don't we work this out between you and me instead of doing this stupid stuff? Why don't we work this out between you and me? Why can't we just sit down and figure something out? And you just keep going to your attorney and they do what they do. This dumb stuff. I will show you anything. Ask me what you've got on your mind. You've obviously got something on your mind that you think I'm hiding from you or stealing from you or something. What are you trying to find out or do now?
I just want to make sure we're being fair. I just want to make us go around fair.
This is not going to make us go fair. You and I are going to end up being fucking enemies over this.
Had I
can't
done
go
discovery,
back
I would have
and-
known it, but you beated me up, plus I couldn't afford it anyway. I was in a
Well,
corner.
okay, you made a decision. You couldn't afford it.
You
I
kept
was
on
in a
pounding and
corner.
pounding and telling me not to do it. I'd have known about this if I'd have done it.
Yeah, okay, so somebody who's divorcing you, you're gonna listen to them?